Hi.
Kimi da yo, kimiなんだよ、教えてくれた. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. Very early recording.
Yeah. So it's not super early for me, but it does feel early on my day off. It is currently 7:32 a.m.
Yeah, I've been up since 5:30.
Yeah, I haven't. I got up at 7, like a lazy butt.
Well, you see, it's one of those things to where I set my alarm for 5:30 because I'm like, I'll snooze it a few times. I was up late watching WrestleMania, and it was fine. But then no, I woke up on the first one, and I was like, well, I'm awake now.
Yeah, that often happens to me at work. I set my work alarm for 4:30, and then I get everyone at work thinks I'm crazy for it because we don't have to be there until 6:30. But I like to be able to have time to function before I'm at work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll wake up at 4:30, probably actually get out of bed at 5, then have a latte, make myself a little latte, sit on my sofa, watch some YouTube or some anime or read a book, and then slowly wake up until I feel the point that I want breakfast, and then eat my breakfast, and then get dressed and get ready to go to work. And it's nicer than what I did in high school, which was 5 minutes before you have to leave, put all your shit on and go. Right?
I get that.
Get out of bed. Yeah. I can't do that anymore. And that's how I know I'm an adult.
As an adult,
yeah,
I definitely, unless I'm going to get breakfast before work, I roll out of bed right whenever it's time to throw my shoes on and leave.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am weird and I sleep with my clothes on. So therefore, it's literally just put on socks and shoes and leave.
I mean, fair enough.
I mean, it's extra steps to have to get up and fumble around and find clothes and put them on. No, just socks, shoes, leave.
You're not a sweaty sleeper, especially in the South. The South.
Well, you see, we have this magical thing called air conditioning.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forget the rest of the world has that.
Yeah, and then I have a fan too. And I don't like sleeping with covers, but much to the detriment of, other people that are you don't like covers. No, covers make me hot. I'm a very hot-natured person.
The
so
detriment
don't
of other
cover
people.
me up.
Of ... other people. I just yeah, there's a specific kind of other people that it is a detriment to.
Well, I mean, so it's what people make fun of me for this in general, regardless of whether it's partners or whomever. Once people find out that I don't like sleeping with a blanket or a quilt or some other shit, whatever you sleep with, I don't like it. I prefer just me.
Yeah. See,
I am my own blanket.
I'm the complete opposite. I like many blankets, but I like the room to be freezing cold.
I feel like that's kind of a common thing.
Yeah.
Though, most people are give me a shit ton of blankets, but also make it as cold as humanly possible.
Yeah. I want a poll of all of those people
why.
to be how many of them have really a lot of childhood memories of tent camping, because I feel the vast majority of us have parents that are okay, you're gonna go outside and it's gonna be 2 degrees, sleep in it.
I don't I don't know how many people are going to share that sentiment,
really?
but I'm sure we'll find out.
I feel
I'll
maybe it's a Canadian thing.
We'll figure it out.
I think it might also be, I don't know, English people camp too. But just spending, don't you just sleep outside a lot or not? No.
I mean, depending on the time of year, a lot more people will camp than others. Typically, summer into fall, people will hike and camp and that kind of thing. But whenever it's the equivalent of 40 degrees outside, or like you said, 2 degrees, no.
Yeah, maybe that's a Canadian thing, a
Also,
country Canadian thing.
I just don't like camping.
No, but then you're giant, so camping isn't built for you. If you went,
yeah, I could glamp that. Yeah. I could do.
Yeah, there needs to be.
Let me just set up a mattress in the bed of my truck with a cover on it. Then I would be fine.
There needs to be, there's Big and Tall stores or Long Tall Sally or whatever it is. There's there needs to be those for camping people.
I mean, I'm sure they're there, but it's also something to where I feel we would be extorted.
Yeah.
Because it's oh, big person, let's charge more. And it's that for a lot of things. Whenever you're, 6'4" and just tall and round, everyone's we charge more.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I like buying clothes from Cloak, because they don't charge more whenever you're a big boy. They're just like, here you go. Same cost, same shipping, same everything. And I'm like, yes, more of this, please.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
No, I mean, it makes sense.
But I will make an Instagram poll, and then we can get back to this information later on this week.
Yeah, I want to know how many people went camping and now like to sleep with cold outside warm blankets.
I mean, I could 100% see that. So yeah, poll of all of the sleepage coming this week. Blankets on, blankets off, cold, not cold, camping, not camping. That's so much social media work to remember. Oh no.
It's too early for social media.
Yeah. But I'm Blue, that's Brad, and we're doing The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten today.
Do you go on social media before
That's
you're
an actual cold open.
Huh?
Wait, what?
I was going to say, do you go...
Run that by me again. Just
Do you go on social media before you're awake? Is I think what I actually said. But what I meant...
that is what you said, so I wanted to make sure that my brain actually comprehended that question properly.
I think what I meant was before you're like up and about, like is the first thing that you do grab your phone and go on social media?
No, the first thing I do is look at my phone and go, why is it so fucking early? And then snooze my alarm a bit.
Okay, there's no need to be...
But I think really
There's no need to be that extra, okay? Chill. You can chill.
But no, I think it's one of those things of, like, it depends. Like, if I'm going to go get breakfast, then no. It's get up, get ready, and then drive to go get breakfast. But if I'm going to skip breakfast, then yeah, I'll sit and scroll TikTok and catch up on all the anime TikToks that I missed while I sleep. Because Japan does not sleep while we sleep, because they are 14 hours ahead.
Yep, that's fair, I feel like, yeah.
What about you?
I rarely go on social media. I think for a 25-year-old, I'm doing a bad job of being a 25-year-old.
No, you're doing a great job. The rest of us just have crippling ADHD.
I have really bad ADHD. It just doesn't hyperfixate on social media.
My only hyperfixation with social media is TikTok, and that's just because that's where I get most of my anime news and shit. And I just anime content. Just give me anime
I ban
content
myself,
so I have something to talk about here.
Yeah, I ban myself from TikTok quite often because if I go on TikTok, I will be on there for several hours to the point where like that video comes across and it's like, hey, you've been scrolling for a while. Maybe you should stop and go outside and touch grass. And I will keep scrolling until another one comes on and another one. And then it's like by the third or fourth where I'm like, I haven't eaten. It's been 6 hours. Like, if I go on TikTok, it's a bad time. I don't leave. So TikTok is scary for me.
It's one of those to where I've actually gotten that TikTok after one TikTok.
Yeah.
I've opened it up, watched the first one, scrolled, and it's like, hey, you've been watching for a really long time. And I'm like, you know what? You're probably right.
Yeah.
Screw you guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do something else.
And then, yeah, Instagram is the only other one that I would go on every now and again, but it's not frequent.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have my notifications turned on either. So that helps because I find like if I post something and I have my notifications turned on, I will go back to that post every now and again to be like, how many likes does it have or whatever, you know? Whereas if I turn them off, I forget about it.
I've never felt so called out for what I do for the podcast.
Yeah, but yeah.
I have notifications turned on to where every time somebody likes the post, I'm like, dopamine.
Yeah.
Podcast too good.
Yeah. I used to do that as well when I made all the memes. And it was just not a productive part of my day. I like sitting there being like,
but it was productive.
Refresh,
We're growing a business. Just dopamine. People like the content.
Yeah, but I'd rather get dopamine. I read 4 books the past 2 days.
Nice.
Yeah, Jen has been sending me romance novels that I have to finish according to her. So they're being finished.
Well, how convenient that we are also speed running a bunch of romance anime then.
Yeah, for someone who yells about the fact that they don't really like romance, I've been consuming a heck of a lot of it recently.
Look, mate, all right, just sometimes you need to get exposed to other types of content.
Yeah.
I mean, I've also ordered books. I haven't started reading them yet, but at least I've ordered them.
Yeah, Jen made me a member of, well, she didn't make me be a member, but she exposed me to the world of Kindle Unlimited.
Oh, yeah, that is a thing.
Yeah, and now I'm subscribed.
Also, I don't know if Canada has the same thing, but in the States, we have an app called Libby.
I have it, yeah.
Yeah, to where as long as you have a library card, you can check out books from your local library and just read them on your phone or Kindle or whatever the fuck you want to read on.
Yeah, I have it. It's a really good app. One thing that I find amusing, but I completely get about it, is that they have like one copy of each book. So if you loan it, nobody else on the app can read it. They have to be on hold. And it makes perfect sense because it's a library. That's how books work. And also, like, authors aren't going to want unlimited copies of their books being out because they still want people to, like, go and purchase them, right? So, like, that makes perfect sense. But my brain goes, but it's digital. The whole time. It's like, it's just, you don't have one copy. It's digital. Everyone can read it simultaneously if they want. Like, what?
But they only have the licensing for that one copy.
I know. It makes so much sense, but my brain just goes, but it's digital.
No. If anything, it's genius because it's all right. You have one copy, so you can either wait for an undiscriminate amount of time or go buy the book.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting on the second book in a series to get off hold on Libby, and I have about 6 months worth of wait because I'm like 7th in hold. And like, I'm like, oh, I hope these people return it early.
And the bad part about it is most of those people will have it for the entire term because they forget that they actually have it.
Yeah. See, because I'm like a binge reader, as much as I binge anime, I also binge reading. I will read and return a book in the same day.
If I were in the mood for reading, I could do the exact same thing. It just depends. Like right now, the only reading I want to do is my weekly like manga catch-ups because I'm in the middle of like 5 different series at the moment. But then outside of that, I've been buying books to do like that's more storytelling-ish based so I can learn how to actually compose episodes that I have to do alone.
Terrifying.
And also just be able to do YouTube content in general because having finally been getting caught up on the YouTube videos for this, I've actually had a chance to sit down whilst editing those videos and listen to your solo episodes versus knowing how mine go. Good job carrying the podcast, by the way.
I do not.
Bullshit.
No. We have 50-50.
The vast difference between especially your solo episodes and mine, very different.
I like your solo episodes.
It was a whole lot of rambling. The only difference out of all of them was the recent SAO one, and that's because I actually sat down and wrote a script so I could get my thoughts across in like 10 to 15 minutes.
You did really good.
But I've been... Oh, well, thanks. I appreciate it. But yeah, so with it being April, my obviously favorite time of the year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
So I actually wanted to like sit down and write a Your Lie April retrospective because this year I don't remember when that anime came out, nor do I remember when I watched it. All I remember is that it's been almost 7 years since I first watched that show.
Wow.
And therefore, it's been 7 years since I've gotten into anime. So I kind of just wanted to do like a retrospective on the show that got me into anime, and also the fuckers at Good Smile making a Cowdy Nindroid.
Yeah, that was...
they can take all of my money because that is one of the most adorable figures I have ever seen.
It's really cute.
So yeah, just take my money. Just take it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've got so much reading coming up that I got to do, and then the new anime season has started, so I'm going to be getting caught up on Hell's Paradise and My Love Story today. So, so much to do.
Yeah, but it's all good stuff, and it's gonna be fun and exciting, and super good.
Yeah.
What what was I going to say? I had a thing in my head floating around and it's gone into a hole.
Yeah, I was going to say, it felt like you had a segue for something just to lead into something. I was like, what is it? What do I have to bounce off of?
You can bounce off of the fact that I share a birthday with an anime character. Ha!
You know what? That you do. And it's funny because whenever I was watching this show for the first time and that birthday flashed across the screen, I was like, that sounds really familiar, but I can't quite place my finger on as to why. That birthday sounds real familiar.
It's because it's mine.
Yeah, it is yours.
Yeah.
So you excited?
I am excited. You know, it's so dumb that you get like so childishly happy about stupid stuff like that. But genuinely, it makes me really happy that like I share a birthday with an anime character.
I mean, hey, it's cool because with social media, like I get notified every day whenever Crunchyroll is like, hey, these are the characters that have this birthday. And I'm like, that's cool. Yeah. And so whenever you told me that, I was like, I got to remember to post something in November.
Yeah. Yeah. What makes you dumb and childishly happy, even though it doesn't really mean anything?
Candy.
Fair point. Like those candy that only kids eat, like candy necklaces.
Not so much those. It's just candy that I had whenever I was a child. Like Easter is one of the times of year where Starburst jelly beans are actually a thing. And I remember having those growing up. And this is the only time of the year that you can get them now.
Oh, okay.
And so it's literally the only time of year where I will actively go out of my way to buy candy because we've had this discussion before. I am not a sweets person.
No.
So I will actively avoid them because I prefer to get my non-sugary sugar intake from things like Dr. Pepper Zero and whatnot, because that's my preferred quote unquote sweets consumption. Or hell, I'm in the South, sweet tea. If I can't get diabetes from a glass, I don't fucking want it. Anyway. So that's just one of those things to where it's like, if that's the one bit of like childhood escapism I get is from that one particular candy, I'm a do it. Plus every now and then I'll watch like an episode of Sailor Moon just to, childhood nostalgia.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I still had Sailor Moon classified as a candy in my head then. I had to like it's like, why do you eat Sailor Moon? I'm like, what?
Oh, there's the clip from the episode.
Oh
my god.
Yeah, Easter candy is on a different level, especially like Cadbury's chocolate eggs and stuff. They go ham this time of year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I always had those like combination Easter eggs where you would get like it would be like the only one I'm thinking of right now is a Malteser Easter egg, but I don't know if you know what Maltesers are.
I do not.
No, you don't know what Smarties are.
Yes, I do.
No, they're the wrong ones. Americans are so
I'm right, you're wrong.
No, they're not. That's an American thing. It's weird. Those
rockets
are rockets.
Are the things that go to space.
We've had this conversation before.
Well, we've had it several times, and this is a hill I am willing to die on.
This is an American hill that you're willing to die on. The rest of the world is on a completely different page, okay?
The rest of the world is wrong. Fight me.
I kind of think of a sweet that we have in both countries. Anyway, like the Easter egg where it's like a normal candy made into an Easter egg, and then those candies are inside of the Easter egg. Did you ever have those growing up?
I mean, so we do have like chocolate Easter eggs that you can buy that have more candy on the inside of them. So those are things.
We also had some where you had have a toy inside of the Easter egg, but that's basically a Kinder egg, and America doesn't like those. So you probably didn't have those.
Nah, we just buy plastic Easter eggs and then put toys inside of those.
That's so sad. Why can't your Easter eggs be made of chocolate?
They are.
No, but then you
have
put
ones
toys
that you eat and ones that you hunt.
No, you hunt for the chocolate. That's the point.
No, because it's hot here and the chocolate melts.
We'll make it colder because it's fun.
I will gladly stay in the South and come visit you during the summer.
Yeah, although...
Big brain.
during our summer, it's still pretty warm. I mean, it's not like south warm, but it's warm.
Again, that's why I will gladly come visit during y'all's summer versus any other time of the year.
But we don't have air conditioning.
Okay. I grew up playing football, so therefore I'm used to being tortured in the 100-degree heat, or I guess in Canadian, that's like 39 degrees.
Yeah, so it'll be about 10 degrees cooler, but no air conditioning.
That's fine. I've had worse.
Yeah. The fun part is when you go into the mountains, because then during the day, it's like 30 degrees. And then at night, it's like freezing.
Yeah, it's kind of like that here, which is why I think most people who do summer camping will do summer camping in the mountains. Because that way, while you're awake, everything is fine and warm. And then whenever you go to bed, everything is cool. And then our whole conversation has come full circle.
So basically, guys, when the sun's around, it's hot. When the sun goes to bed, it gets cold. And that's a science lesson with Blue and Brad.
Yeah, Dr. Stone hasn't even started for the season yet.
And we already know science.
You know science. I am simply here to be dumb.
I have nearly finished my latte.
That is my entire bit.
And therefore, I will know no more science after this.
I have drank probably half of what I started this episode with already.
Yeah.
It is pay me no mind and my massive fucking iced coffee.
The leaf survived to the bottom of the drink. It's sad now, but it's there.
This is going to be gone by the time I get to church.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm going to have at least 2 more before I have to go to brunch.
Hey.
And then I'll probably
at least you're going to get brunch.
Sorry?
Said at least you're going to get brunch.
I am.
I gotta go to work.
I'm excited.
As you should be.
Yeah, so the person I'm going to brunch with is a previous colleague.
Uh-huh.
I haven't seen them. I mean, I haven't seen them in like a week. Like it's not been that long since they've been at work. But it feels really weird because it's supposed to you see every day. And then all of a sudden, like, you don't see them anymore. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, where are you? Like, what is
Where have you gone?
You're gone.
Oh,
no. so, yeah, gonna go see them. We're gonna go get brunch at a fancy place where we had to place a brunch reservation.
You moved to Toronto and then now you're just getting too bougie for me.
I know. Like, what is this? Like a reservation for brunch?
Oh my God. Al.
And then we were looking at some places and it's like, you had to place a reservation like a week in advance. I'm like, how fucking good is these? Like, you can walk into pretty much any restaurant for like an evening time meal here in the city and like get a table. But for brunch, you can't. Like, I didn't know this was a brunch city. Like, sorry, okay.
That's just the human equivalent of white people taco night. It's fine.
Yeah, honestly. I feel, what is it? Yeah, there's like a specific like fancy alcoholic drink you're supposed to get at brunch. What is it? Like a
mimosa?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't drink, so.
Where you get orange juice and champagne mixed together?
Ew. That sounds...
I think that's a mimosa.
How do you know more about alcohol than I do when you literally can't drink? You'll explode. That's canon, by the way.
Yeah, that is 100% canon. And I don't know how much I actually talked about this during the time that I was with my prior ex, but my prior ex was like as basic white girl can get. And again, no shame on her whatsoever.
Yeah, be a basic white girl. It's fun.
I mean, but it's one of those things where it's like we talked about it on here, and it's like I don't know how it worked for so long because I'm massive weeb nerd, the whole 9 yard, and she's brunch, Starbucks, and Taylor Swift.
Yeah. I mean,
again, nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but that it's because of her that I know what brunch culture is, even though I've never been to brunch, if that makes sense.
We should go to brunch.
We should go to brunch.
We'll meet up and go to brunch. That's why we'll fly
down
to go see each other solely so we can go to brunch.
just solely for brunch.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And it's one of those things to where now, and I was talking to a friend of mine about this because we are going to be having a meetup here in a couple weeks. And so as we are having that meetup, I'm going to pack up my new fancy recording setup because it is literally a mobile recording booth.
Ooh.
So we're going to record some shit while we're there, and we're going to record a cooking video too. So therefore everyone can see my fabulous shokugeki skills, and Blue can be terrified for whenever that eventual shokugeki happens.
Ha! You think you can beat me? Try harder. Not another day.
Baka. I had a point with all of that, and I have completely lost it.
Brunch.
Yeah, let's meet up for brunch.
Let's do that. And we can have virgin mimosas, so just orange juice.
I think a virgin mimosa would be orange juice and sparkling water, just so you still get the spicy.
Oh, then you might as well just go for a Shirley Temple.
I don't know what that is.
So that's orange juice. I think it's like Sprite or 7-Up, or I guess you could do it with like Canada Dry. And grenadine.
Oh.
So it makes like a gradient in the color. So it's like red to orange juice color, yellow, orange. Yellow.
Uh-huh. Orange juice is like yellow with a twinge of red, whereas grenadine will actually make it orange.
Yeah.
Or almost red, depending on how much grenadine you actually put in it, because grenadine is just pretty much cherry dye.
It's potent. Yeah. But if you you mix the orange juice and the Sprite together, and then you pour the grenadine in, and it's heavier, so it sinks to the bottom.
Uh-huh.
So then it like makes a really nice gradient, and then you mix it all together, and then it's like sweet, fizzy orange juice. It's very sweet.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's why I think if you don't have much of a sweet tooth, you could do it with like just a sparkling water or something, and then the only thing that's sweetening it is the grenadine. But if you have it with Sprite, then it would be very sweet already.
I mean, it's one of those things to where I feel like if you are not the biggest fan of sugar, you can accomplish the same thing with ginger ale and Mio.
Mm.
Or I guess whatever the Canadian equivalent of Mio is.
No idea.
Unless y'all have Mio, in which case.
Yeah. Squash, I guess. Like that, I mean, that's the English version. But like, I know Kool-Aid does one. Like,
Kool-Aid has one, but it's pure sugar. Mio is like a healthy alternative, if you want to call it healthy, because I mean artificial sweeteners. But at this point, I would, unless I'm having something like coffee or tea, at this point I'll just take the artificial sweeteners.
Yeah.
Fuck it. If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die having something I enjoy, whether it's artificial or not. Life is hard.
Yeah, I found a Jelly Baby one.
Oh?
Yeah, it's blue raspberry flavor. Real good. It's complete sugar, but like I put a half of a packet in and was bouncing off the walls. But yeah, good.
That's fine. It's fine. I mean, it's one of those things to where I'm a big fan of anything blue raspberry flavored.
Yeah.
Just gib.
Yeah, me too. Blue raspberry or the apple, like sour apple, the green apple.
Yeah. You see, I'm the only flavor I don't enjoy is cherry.
Me too.
Hey, look at that.
Yes. I don't like maraschino cherries, and everything is maraschino cherry as opposed to just like actual cherry.
Yeah, and also black cherry too is one of those things that I do not enjoy, especially artificially made.
Yeah.
Like whenever I was younger, used to drink like flavored sparkling water a lot. Mm-hmm. And the one flavor I hated more than everything was the cans of black cherry. Mm-hmm. And that seemed to be the most prominent one that people would buy, especially for me, to which I literally just had to drink and be sad.
Yeah, just be like, thanks very much. I really appreciate it. Blah.
God, there's the TikTok somebody sent me the other day of somebody's trying sparkling water for the first time, and they just look so defeated, but they were committed because everybody else was drinking sparkling water around them. It's just like, I'm sad now.
Yeah, why do people drink this? It's gross.
It really do be, though.
Yeah, like we have two different kinds of sparkling, like two different brands of sparkling water at work. We have Perrier, and then we have like a range of like canned sparkling water, and they have like a whole bunch of different flavors, and the lime is the most popular.
Interesting. Yeah, because I know with LaCroix, lime is the worst.
Yeah, so we have an original, which I assume is just like plain. Then there's grapefruit, lemon, lime, and there's one more. I feel like it's going to be like maple syrup or something Canadian, I feel like.
I would not doubt that at all. I would have made the joke, but you made it for me, so therefore I'm content with life.
It's not even a joke at this point. It's like a thing. Like, I feel like there's a maple syrup flavored everything here. It's like Tim Hortons, when they came out with their maple latte, put out a campaign where it was like, we're sorry we didn't think of this sooner. Like, that was their campaign for the drink.
That's great.
Yeah,
I love that.
It was a public apology of like, sorry we didn't do this sooner. Here is the maple latte.
So our local brand new anime coffee shop started serving a cinnamon coffee for their monthly special yesterday that Walker and I got to be the guinea pigs on. They're pretty good.
Nice.
They call it the uzumaki because it's a cinnamon swirl in it.
Okay.
They're pretty good.
Do you know if it uses cinnamon syrup or just actual cinnamon?
I think cinnamon syrup.
That makes sense.
Because I didn't see any cinnamon floating on top. But then again, I also did not pay any attention. I just drank it exceptionally quickly.
If you combine a cinnamon syrup, an Irish cream syrup, and a salted caramel syrup, you get a cookie syrup.
Interesting.
Yeah.
These are things that I would never know because I don't know how to mix any sort of sugary sweetness. I only know how to mix paint.
I know how to do both. No.
You know what, though? I would actually be curious to like get the two of us together with a paint palette and just like see how accurately we can mix paint colors just based off one another's knowledge.
I think you would probably be more accurate to like color matching, because I only did one semester of that, whereas you've done a career of that.
Yeah, it's one of those to where, like, if you custom made a color on a canvas, I could probably match that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't, like, go out of my way to create something new. Like, that creative aspect of my brain just does not work. But I can look at a color.
Yeah.
And be like, all right, it's so much white, so much blue, like, just so on and so forth.
Yeah. See, I'm a little bit more spontaneous about it. I'm like, I want to chuck in a bit of this and a little bit of that and see what happens. And like, I have a good idea of how it's going to turn out, but like, yeah, I feel like you would do the color matching and I could do the other bit.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you need your walls painted. I got you. I can match you any color that you need, but you need something creative done. Hire blue.
Yeah, I feel like what we should do is we should make a giant canvas painting between us, and like, I'm going to go and like make a little tiny swatch with my tiny acrylic palette, and then I'll give it to you and be like, hey, can I have more of this, please? And then you're like, okay, cool. And then we do the base coat, and then we're good.
Yeah.
Because like the amount of times that I run out of paint halfway through, and I'm like, fuck, I got to mix more. That's where I need a brat.
That's what I'm good for.
Speaking of what you're good for, this boy is good for not much of anything because he's a mess.
You're right. You're right. I've never, again, this is the episode of I've never felt so called out before.
Yeah, actually, it made me do like my laundry whilst watching this video, watching this anime.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
If I am good for anything, it's mixing paint colors and making you watch anime that will make you clean your flat.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I appreciate the flat.
You're welcome.
I know you thought you were like apartment, the flat. I could see the brain working. There was a pause there, and you were like, "What did she call it?"
Well, no, I'm the one that started calling it a flat.
No,
in this conversation.
Okay, fair enough.
In this conversation, I'm the one that called it a flat.
Fair enough.
But no, I'm used to English terminology of apartments being called flats.
Yeah. Well, it's
so that I was used to.
It's a room, not an apartment. It's a closet.
Your studio closet.
My studio closet, bedroom, living space, kitchen, sitting room, art space.
Everything all at once.
Everything all at once.
Everything everywhere all at once, which is apparently a good film.
Yes, but we're not going to watch that today because we're covering The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten.
So sweet.
It is very, very, very cute. Yeah.
Let's get into the background before I go off on another tangent about this show.
Yep.
So background It is a novel slash light novel series written by Seika-san. The light novel has been running from June 15th of 2019 to present for a total of 8 volumes plus 1 collection of short stories. The manga was written by the same individual, and the original run was from January 6th of 2020 to present for a total of only 2 volumes available right now. And the anime was directed by Lihua Wang. Studio was Project Number 9 and ran from January 7th to March 25th of 2023 for a total of 12 episodes. So the show just ended.
Yeah, I wonder if this anime covers both volumes, because it's normally one core covers 2 volumes, right?
If I had to take a guess, with the amount of light novel available, and solely basing this off of kind of what I'm used to with Dress Up Darling and other light novels, I would say it probably covered about 4 to 5 light novel volumes.
Okay.
For the season as well. So the manga may not have even caught up through the first season.
Oh, okay. That's fun. Okay.
Because typically your usual manga volume chapters will be like 3 chapters per episode.
Right.
And your typical manga volume consists of between 9 to 10 chapters, give or take.
Right.
So the manga might only make up for like the first half of the show, or maybe more, maybe less, depending on how they actually broke it up for the episodes. I don't know. This is purely 100% guesswork on my part.
Okay. Just because, a whole lot of people were being like, I'll see you in the second season, because they were excited, hopefully, for it to get approved for a second season. I think there's a good chance for it, considering the fact that it has some pretty good scores. Compared to last week's romance anime, that got a drop rate of 21%. We're looking at a drop rate today of 5.66%. So way better. But then this is more to the thing that's kind of expected with romance animes. Last week's was more of an adult fashion, and although while I have a preference for it, I know a lot of people like it. This is kind of a classic setup.
Yeah, this is like purely romance with like just a twinge of comedy every now and then, mainly coming from the best friend group.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's more pure romance, which I feel like if you truly stick to one category, I feel like you're a lot more, I'm trying to think of the right word. You'll have a less of a drop rate because you're fitting one true category. Whereas unless you're going to go full rom-com and like go full ham on both and blend them together, say something like Kaguya-sama, then it's, I don't know, it's a mess. My brain is not working.
No, I'm with you. And I also think that like the high school theming is kind of where there's like a level of like comfort in anime when things are set around high school kids, because that is the vast majority of anime, like regardless of genre, they're kind of in high school, and it's like a running joke that they're like 35-year-old high schoolers, you know?
Yeah.
And so when you see animes or other anime type content of people that are older than high school, you're expecting to see a higher drop rate, because that kind of breaches closer to reality for most anime watchers. And anime is escapism. So, like, you go in there to be in an imaginary world. So being in an imaginary world that is close to your own, like your own age, your own demographic, is more relatable. Like, it's one of those things of like, oh, I didn't come here to watch my life and what my life could be. So there is a level, like, there's that level as well of like, I just want to see people that are very different from me being a thing. But also, since TikTok has been so huge with anime, we do have like a very large wave of new anime watchers that are in high school right now, or like just out of high school.
Yeah. So
compared to like us old folk who've been watching anime since we were in high school, who are now adults, I bet that I would be interested to see the age ranges of people that watch anime, but like I feel like we had a decent chunk of people compared to like people 5 years older than us watching anime. Like we grew exponentially, but the people that are watching anime now are probably 3 times that. So yeah. So we do also have to bear that in mind, that whilst we like content based around people kind of our age, people that are the age of the anime characters right now would also be watching this. So I think that's another reason why the drop rate could be so low.
And I think this is another conversation that we'll be able to have after we watch Wotakoi. Because Wotakoi is based entirely around adult otakus who have to try to like get along and progress through a relationship. Although they have very different tastes, they are both still otaku. But again, also very adult. And I know Wotakoi is held in an extremely high regard amongst the anime fandom. And I have never actually watched the anime, but I have read and have a very good chunk of the manga. So for one, I need to finish that collection because I am fucking slacking. But yeah, it's one of those things where I would like to revisit this once we actually get to something that's a little bit more universally beloved and isn't just brand new.
Yeah.
And then we can expand on this a little bit more as our horizons have been broadened.
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Continuing on with some stats, we have Anime Planet ranks this as a 4.06 out of 5 or an 8.12 out of 10. My Anime List ranks it as a 7.88 out of 10, giving it an average score of 8 out of 10.
And that is truly a flat average, which is the first time I think we've ever had this in this podcast.
Yeah.
Or if it has happened before, it has been a very, very long time.
Unless my math is wrong, in which case, sorry.
Yeah, she was doing math literally right before we sat down to record, and having just rolled out of bed, who knows whether it is right or wrong.
Yeah, like 7:20 math time is not math time for me.
But it is 3 hours past 4:20, which is the perfect time to do math.
If you say so.
I would not know.
We're going to go with it. Sure. Brad does math at 4:20. Canon.
100% canon. So much canon shit is happening on the podcast these past few weeks. But
if Brad even gets a whiff of alcohol, he explodes.
Oh, I guess that means no more maple bourbon glazed salmon for me.
No. Oh, no, because the maple counteracts it because you're friends with a Canadian.
Oh, yeah. Okay. This new canon information is great. I'm going to have to figure out a way to exploit this.
Yeah, it's the maple protection charm. It's a little known secret fact that all Canadians have this. Once I became a citizen, they injected me with a pure maple crystal. It now resides in my heart, and I can give small chunks of it to people that I consider worthy. They don't realize that I have actually transported it through. It can be through any kind of technological form, like, for instance, a microphone. It comes out of the microphone, through the cable, down into the internet, and then travels through the internet world, back out into your microphone, where it then flies into your mouth without you realizing it when you're speaking, and settles itself in your heart. And now, whenever you're around any kind of maple aspect, the charm clicks into place, and you are then protected.
All right, I'm going to put this to the test. I'm going to pour some maple syrup and a bottle of wine down the whole thing, and we'll see how it goes.
Good luck.
All right.
We'll see. Next week's solo podcast episode.
Oh. All right. So... No, I gotta at least live for the next one because I'm giving you a romance break and letting you watch the one, I guess, manga series that you stole from your brother to read for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Campfire Cooking is done, so I'm gonna let you watch that. Mm-hmm. Join the realm of isekai for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice having an older brother who's also an otaku because you just get twice as much like manga content you can steal.
Yeah, just gib.
Just gib.
That's all it is. Just gib.
Yeah. Yeah, just gib. I'm not.
Speaking of gib, what? I want food.
You want food?
Yeah, this show made me want food.
That's a good point.
Both shows made me want food.
Yeah. Here's some food for thought. chicken hats.
Yeah,
No,
chicken hats.
we haven't done a background. Wait a second. Overview.
It's
Synopsis.
fine. It's fine. It's literally a high school romance. There is literally nothing new to discuss without actually getting into the plot.
Girl next door is Angel. Boy next door is a nerd. They live next to each other and also go to school together, but they don't know each other until an umbrella. And then they fall in love. The end.
Well, way to spoil the in love part without the chicken hats.
I mean, it's a romance.
You spoiled it.
Okay, sorry. They may or may not fall in love.
No. I'm not editing that at all.
It's a romance. What do you expect to happen? And then at the end of it, they both hate each other.
Oh.
Yeah, they decide that they are not going to work out, and she moves away specifically to get away from him because he was being a total creep the whole time.
Secret 13th episode OVA that I was unaware of.
Yeah, she actually...
Good on you for getting early access to content.
Yeah, she was leading him on the whole time. Thought he was a total creep. He actually had, entered her apartment on multiple occasions. But she was fluttering her eyelashes at him the whole time, and they were both misleading each other. And then she moves away, and actually has she then goes on to be an author where she writes really bad romance novels, and he becomes a banker.
I feel like you just haphazardly described the plot of Spy Family. Oh.
Then they adopt a child and a dog.
Borf. There's the synchronicity that I needed for the day.
Yep. Chicken hats. Check them out.
Yeah, chicken hats. So, the one thing I actually want to discuss about all of this, because we have had this discussion before, and I need to bring it up once again, because this is a prime example of what I've talked about. Guys are dumb.
Yeah. But
it is a full-on accurate representation of just how dense guys are. And that is the one thing that impressed me about this show. Is this show sweet? Yes. Is it a whole lot of hopeless wish fulfillment out of this anime? Yes. But if it does one thing right, it 100% accurately depicts how dense guys are whenever, no matter how many symbols or how much you try to give off the fact that you are interested in a guy, if you do not outright say it, or in the case of this show, give a kiss on the cheek, it will not get through our fucking heads.
Yeah.
There's my rant for the day.
Fair enough. But even he admits, this is definite spoil, at the end of the anime in the last episode, even he admits, he goes, I was scared to see your emotions. I knew you liked me, but I was too scared to believe it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's actually, not being a guy, I don't know. But, I feel like that's part of it, is that there's a level of, no, it can't be that. And you talk yourself out of it, as opposed to complete obliviousness. It's you see the signs, but you don't believe them to be what you think they are.
So if you have a relationship similar to what they have, especially in we've both been to school, so we know how parasocial relationships are.
Yeah.
And how detrimental to your mental health the people around you can be, especially whenever you're in a situation of you literally have what everyone refers to as the angel, and then you have what is just the nerd of the class, even though he's not a nerd, he's just
quiet,
the quiet guy that sits off to the side.
Yeah.
So you have all of that, and yet It's just you don't want to rock the boat, and you don't want to cause issues for the other person as well, because obviously this is somebody that you care about and have feelings for. You just don't want to screw it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's, I don't know. With you, for your high school experience, did you have somebody that, like, you could consider to be, like, the most popular person in school?
There were several people like that,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's a Canadian thing or if it was just my school, but, like, we didn't really have that in the same way. Like, well, there was definitely, like, a crowd of people that would all, like, go to, like, house parties, or, like they were, like, more social. But none of them were, like, at least in my experience, like, exclusionary. Like there's a couple people that I have nice memories of who were, like, in that group, who would, you know, like, we would be in class together and they would join my group project and we would be fine. And maybe that's just because, like, I was kind of like a middle of the pack person. So I don't know if, like, they were mean to people that were considered to be, like, bottom of the barrel. But it felt kind of like we were all kind of nice to each other. I mean, there were some people that I just never interacted with because they were in that group and they just, like, always had their tight-knit group of friends and didn't really expand out of it. But then I kind of had the same. So I don't know. We didn't have, like, a proper hierarchy in that way. And I wouldn't ever call them, like, popular in the same sense, because, for instance, a really good example is my high school had a cheer squad the first year that I was in high school. It was so unpopular to be part of the cheer squad, they cancelled it. Like, we didn't have a cheerleading team anymore because it's just not the vibe, you know? So, like, we had an American football team, but, like, hockey was the sport that most of the kids played, and we don't have a school hockey team, so they would play for their own clubs outside of school. And so that wasn't, like, an on-school ground thing. Like, they wouldn't have, like, a turf war over hockey at school, you know? So
turf war over hockey.
I don't know anything about hockey. I don't know anything about anything. But like, it's not the same as, like, what I picture an American school to be like, where it's like you have the cheer squad captain and the quarterback of the football team, and they're dating, and then they have their buddies, and they all go to each other's houses and have house parties, and then everyone else is a noob. Like, I don't, like, that's kind of how I picture it.
To some level of degree, like, that is kind of a thing. It's not 100% like that, but you do have, like, the popular groups that have their cliques, and then they do hang out a lot, and they do have that type of, like, going ons there, but you don't have, it's not as, I guess, prominent or as, like, blatant as what you see in anime.
Yeah.
But there is sort of that hierarchy there. And as someone who has been really good friends with the, like, quote unquote, most popular girl in school, or somebody that either you and a whole lot of people around you viewed them as that way, it is definitely one of those situations of, it's like, I should not be standing beside this individual because, getting on the wrong side of cliques are bad.
Yeah.
I don't know why I broke out the megaphone voice effect for that one, but it just felt right.
Yeah. I mean, go for it. But, like, did you ever have, like, the classic, like, bullying signs? Because I never at least saw them in my high school. I don't know whether or not they actually happened, but I never saw them, of, like, writing on lockers, or, you know, locking people in lockers, or, like, you know, the classic, like, movie style bullying never happened according to my experience in high school.
I've never seen something like that.
Yeah.
I have heard, like, rumors and rumblings of shit like that happening. And then I've also seen people, like, outright degrading other individuals, in which case I've turned into the bully on. But that is a story for another time. All I'm going to say is, don't let me catch you picking on people, especially people with developmental disabilities.
Yeah.
Because I will then put your head in a fucking locker.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've never just outright witnessed like straight blatant bullying, like, you know, somebody shoving, you know, somebody's head in a toilet or shoving them in a locker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have seen like actual verbal degradation, in which case I've had to step in and then turn into the asshole. I mean, I didn't feel like an asshole, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, because it's just one of those things of like, I feel like media portrayal of that kind of thing is very inaccurate. And I feel like that's kind of damaging, because if actual bullying doesn't look like that, then, especially these days where it's like probably vastly through social media, I feel like that's kind of like, then kids who are in that, who are getting bullied, won't necessarily see what they're going through as bullying, because their representation of bullying doesn't look like what they have. So then they'll be like, oh, well, what I'm going through isn't even that bad, because it could be like that.
Well, I mean, let's just be real for a moment here as well. Whenever it comes to situations like bullying and whatnot, the media betrayal is there just, I feel like, simply to get a point across of like, you know, this person's bad.
Yeah.
And, you know, they need to be stopped, this, that, and the other. Whereas bullying in real life, it is different, but also nobody like ever actually just really steps in to handle it, especially adults.
Yeah.
And you do see that in media a little bit as well. Of adults are like, oh no, like they were just horsing around and we don't want to get anybody in trouble and try to ruin their lives. No, that person is a fucking dickbag and needs to be treated as such. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, like I fully agree with what you're saying, and that the media portrayal is definitely damaging to individuals, especially individuals that are being bullied. However, it's damaging in general because people are assholes, especially whenever brain is not fully developed and they aren't steered in any correct direction, because people 99% of the time will have the bystander effect and look away, especially adults who just don't want to rock the boat and deal with potential consequences from having to deal with a shithead child.
Yeah. Which leads me to my point. If you are ever in a situation where you are being assaulted in one way or another, and there is a crowd of people around you or people walking by and they're not doing anything about it, point to someone specifically. You there, with whatever you have on there, help me. Because that breaks the bystander effect. It's something that we're taught when we do first aid training, is if you say somebody call 911, chances are nobody will. But if you say you call 911, somebody will. Like, that person will.
Yeah, like you just have to be like extremely direct.
Yeah.
Because then if they don't do it, they're the asshole. And then they're like, oh, I gotta do it. I gotta call.
Yeah. So it's the same kind of thing. Whereas if you're being bullied in a crowd, I doubt that'll happen. But if it does, I'm sorry that's happening to you. But point to someone specifically and be like, you get help. You help intervene. Like, you specifically, that person there with the orange shirt on, so they cannot be like, oh, you're talking about the person behind me, the person next to me. It will, and it can even kick other people into action as well. So,
yes.
Yeah. That's my psychological tip of the day.
Yeah.
Speaking of psychological tips, I have nothing to segue this with.
You know what? It's totally fine. I will accept it and then swiftly move on to I really had no very particular point I wanted to talk about other than getting the whole men big dents.
Yeah.
And show good. Show very good. Show very sweet, but also interesting take on a high school romance.
Yeah, it's a very classic outline of everything. You know, boy doesn't know how to clean or do his laundry or cook for himself. And so she becomes a caretaker for him, which also, just throwing this out there, that's real patriarchy.
Oh, 100%.
It's just wife in training. And I'm like, Yeah, so if she wants a full career, she's going to have a full career, and then she's going to have to come home and cook and clean for him. So she's doing 2 jobs at once. And I get that at the end of the anime, I did appreciate that he said, I want to grow to be a man who is on the same level of you, or like at least better than I am. Like, I appreciate that he's recognizing in himself that he needs to grow as a human being. And I get that they're young and he hasn't had to do that for himself before. So he it's still learning. And there is evidence of throughout the show of him being like, no, I'm trying to learn how to cook. Like I'm improving my omelet. Like he's actively participating to try and make it a 50-50 equal split. But it does like still kind of ruffle my feathers a little bit about the whole she's his mother, basically.
Well, it's one of those things to where I feel like I'm going to dig myself a hole here.
Enjoy it. Have fun. I'll get you a shovel.
I feel like anytime I sit here and like try to make counterpoints for arguments like this, I'm going to end up digging myself.
No, I want to hear it. Let's hear it.
Just because I'm the rom-com boy.
You are the rom-com boy. Let's hear
it. I had a point to make and it is gone.
You got lost in the hole. You're somewhere in there. You don't know how to get out. You don't even know what your point was. The lantern, it's gone.
Somebody help me.
Exactly.
Oh God, what point was I going to make here? Oh shit.
Yeah, I'm going to give them there is a level of benefit of the doubt for these guys. They are teenagers, and his life experience is that he grew up in a family where his parents looked after him the entire time, whereas she grew up in a family that didn't have that same parenting at all. So she had to learn how to fend for herself at a very young age. And so she came into living alone with a heck of a lot more life experience than he did. So I understand why they have the dynamic that they do. And I do appreciate that he is trying to learn. However, this entire concept is still having a woman cook, clean, and care for you whilst the man doesn't do anything else. I do appreciate they do show them she cooks, so he does the dishes. That feels 50-50. It's just you still you get how I'm it's still a little bit it just
No. I 100% agree. Yeah. And I remember the point I was going to make.
For it.
It's gone again.
Oh.
This is literally going to be the bit for the episode. Okay. I think I've got it back. Maybe. Just hold it together for 10 seconds, brain. Get your point. Okay, it's gone again.
Okay. Well, I think that
if it comes back, I will step up and speak again.
Go for it. I think I don't know if it's part of it's ugh, I don't like this. But also I wonder if some of it is also I'm it's my feelings that are being projected onto it, because I don't know, it's a complicated thing, because I'm I totally get why the characters are the way they are and why they have the dynamic that they do. And I get that he has a lot of character progression. I get that, she's opening up to him, and I get that he wants to improve to be better for her. And I get that they're young. It's just this thing in the back of my mind that's I don't like it. And I think it's partially a me thing, and partially it's just that this is how a lot of romances are. It would be nice to see something along the same lines where it's the opposite way around.
Yeah. Oh no, I 100% can agree with that. And I feel like there is an anime out there like that. I feel like I've watched something similar to that, and it's just not coming to my brain. But no, this anime is 100% garbage wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
I will 100% stand behind that. And also, the point I wanted to make that kept slipping my mind is I 100% think that they could have done without the whole wife and training comments.
Yeah.
That was 100% necessary. I just appreciate the character growth that both of our characters had.
They did, yeah. Yeah, have a lot of growth. I agree. Yeah, the wife and training comments is icky.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that stuck out to me is I get that they tried to add that in as humor.
Mm.
It just does not come off as humor, especially in today's day and age.
Yeah.
So it felt very dated and unfunny and very unnecessary. Like if they had left those comments out, I feel like it never would have really pushed like the forefront of the mind.
Yeah, I
whenever
kind
it
of
comes
agree
to
with
that
you.
type of stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you, because then it would have just been about the character history. It would have just been about the fact that she had to learn to fend for herself at a young age, and he had grown up in a loving environment. It would have just been about that. It wouldn't have been about sexism. But those wife in training comments are what puts that idea in your head. And also, I feel like it's kind of a tired plot point to have like men being a mess. They don't know how to take care of themselves. Like, I feel like that's kind of like a tired point as well on the other side of things. Like, there are plenty of men who are capable of living alone, who are very good cooks and can clean for themselves and functioning human beings in society. Like, I feel like we need more representation of that.
I mean, I feel like, if anything, because obviously Amane had he had it in him to do it. I just felt like he went through a depressive episode.
That's fair, yeah.
And as someone that deals with depression and has gotten to the point to where back whenever I was living alone for that year and a half, there was one point to where I just let shit in my apartment just pile up and pile up and pile up. And the more it piles up, the more it kind of sits on you of just like, well, that's too much to tackle. I'm going to put that off, and then just keep putting that off. And the only thing that broke me of that was I was going to have visitors. Like, I think Brian and them were going to come up to see me for a day. And I was like, oh, fuck, I got to clean this entire place. So I spent like 2 days cleaning the place from top to bottom.
Yeah.
But, again, like, that's no excuse for this particular style of plot point. However, I feel like, if anything, like with us or with them giving us like his background history, I feel like that's the only reason to where like that came to mind of this is the like reasoning behind why Amane is the way that he is. And I personally related it to a depressive episode whenever he very well could have just been lazy and just wasn't doing it, and he was perfectly fine living off of nutrient jelly, which I'm not gonna lie, if that was an actual thing that I could buy, I would live off of that, because that just seems so much more efficient of eating one jelly pack and I get my nutrients for the day and I will go on.
Yeah.
It's my business.
I actually think that's a really good point. I hadn't considered a depressive episode for him to being more of a mess. I think they could have heavily leaned into that. Well, not even heavily, just like threw in a few more like little hints of that, and that would have been a really, really good discussion piece to have throughout the anime, and a very like subtle representation of mental health. I feel like that would have been a really good thing for a direction for them to have gone in, as opposed to like a wife in training to have just been like I was feeling really down and shit got out of hand. And like it could have been like one little comment of like, you know, like when he was like, I don't even know where to start when he was talking about the cleaning, it could have been like, it's just been overwhelming, and then move on. And then that could have sparked that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would have,
again,
that would have been good.
Yeah, that could just be my projection on it, because as somebody who has been down that hole and just went through a depressive episode to where shit just piled up and you just don't have the will to do it.
Yeah.
So I 100% get that. And that could just be my own projection on that situation. But it's seeing like his flashbacks to his middle school days with, you know, how he was like destroyed on human connection by individuals, and then he just kind of moves away to get away from it all, but hasn't like really learned to cope with reality and make friends outside of Izuki. Like, I feel like that was just kind of my way of, I guess, looking at that and like, again, I guess projecting in some way, shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that relation. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because that's what kind of got me on the, like, once they started showing flashbacks of him and, like, all of that, that's whenever I started collecting the or connecting the dots of where I was like, wait, okay, all of this makes a little bit more sense. And I feel like I was able to come to that conclusion a lot sooner because I watched it through a second time. And it was my second watch through to where brain made the connection.
Right. That makes sense.
It was my first time watching through it. I was literally like, all right, trash rom-com
Yeah.
for the season. Well, I mean, this, you have the Ice Guy Next Door that we covered last week, and then whatever we're covering a couple weeks from now that I can't think of off the top of my head. Like every season has the trash like rom-com romance, and it's not like really trash, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I get you.
And
yeah, I think that
so
that would have
it's
just
one of those
elevated
things
it a little bit. Is taking it from
Yeah,
trash rom-com to like rom-com with like depth, I guess. And not that it doesn't have depth, because these characters do have a lot of growth. I just do feel like it still is somewhat unrelatable. Like, I mean,
oh, it's 100% unrelatable. And that's why I said, like, at the end of the day, it is hopeless wish fulfillment.
yeah.
Of somebody was like, I guarantee you that somebody was watching this and be like, oh, why can't I have this? No, like you want a partnership and you want it to be 50-50. Like you want a relationship closer to where it was at the end of the show, not at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Like it's not one of those things.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's cute. I like the show. It's decent. It's one thing I will say is with the animation, there's frequent enough to where the comments were commenting about how the real hero of the show is Couch San, because of how frequently scenes are placed with the two of them on the couch. But I will say
background budget was on point.
Yeah. I will say that the
character design was good though, with like the constant different outfits and everything,
I agree.
which I figured you would appreciate.
Yes, I fully agree with that. I love seeing Japanese fashion in animes like this. I think it's really cute to see. I like seeing how different characters dress for different circumstances, and there's one thing I will okay, so I have a couple points bouncing through my head right now. Amane starts off the show being described as looking kind of physically ill, a bit skinny, pale, not getting enough from his jelly packets of nutrients, like there's not a full meal. And then they go through to describe him looking better and looking healthier. I didn't notice a visual change in his character design throughout that. I don't necessarily know how they could have done that a huge amount, other than maybe do like some little lines under his eyes, or like, you know, maybe make his skin a little bit more gray tone and then change it to more of a pinky tone. I'm not sure how they could do that, but it was like a very much prominent comment from the other characters that then didn't have a visual aid.
Yeah, like as far as like an audience was concerned, the only subtle differences that we got throughout the entirety of the show was just seeing what felt like a much more natural smile as it went on. Yeah. Because you can, like, anime has a way of like portraying like the differences very well between like a more forced smile to like a more natural-ish type thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I 100% agree. They could have definitely added like a bit more, even if it was just like a little bit more shading under the eyes, or just like a little bit more of a skin tone change, because I feel like I tried to look for it and I didn't notice. But then again, I don't know. Like I very well could have just not been paying attention to the right things. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen that. Also, when he was supposedly still on the skinnier side, I think that was the time when they had him have a photograph of him with his, like, it's like he was a couple of months in, so he was like doing decent, but wasn't like to the point where they were like, wow, you look healthy. Photograph of him with his arms showing. This is before he had like started working out, and he looked pretty buff, you know? And I'm like, okay, if that's how he is when he's just not working out, and like before the comments of him like, oh yeah, you can't even like you went for a run this morning, you would be dead, you know? Like that happened after this photo. And I'm like, that feels Like, he looks like he could be on Free. Like this is a Haikyuu level body right now. And this is pre you working out. Like, that was like a bit like, I get the idea of it was to make her swoon and like all this kind of stuff, but like he's supposed to be really like still pretty skinny at this point.
All right, so here's the thing.
Okay.
All right, common anime trope.
Yeah.
All high school boys have 6-pack abs. All of them.
Okay, fair.
Every last one of them.
Okay.
Like, regardless of whether they are unhealthy or not. Have you ever seen a high school anime boy that does not have a 6-pack?
I don't know. I don't know.
Again, it's for some reason I don't understand why it's a trope, and I 100% understand where you're coming from, and I agree with your point. It's just counterpoint. All of them, every last one of them.
Okay, fine.
Unless it is a very specific plot point to where they have to be fat, they are all 6-pack.
Fine. Okay. But then in that case, what I want is a 6-pack for the before photo and then an 8-pack for the after. Thank you very much. If we're starting off with 6-pack, we need somewhere to go.
Goes from 6-pack to unbelievably jacked.
6-pack
There's no in between.
to All Might.
Literally.
Yeah, so that was one thing. And then also I will say that the scenes on the couch where they're like kind of snuggling, leaning into one another, they're supposed to be comfy. They were never leaning on the back of the couch. I don't know if this is just like really hard to draw, but they were never like leaning on the back of the couch. And I get that they also wanted to keep like some distance between each other. They didn't want them like sitting hip to hip. But some of it looks incredibly awkward to the point where I was like drawn out of the storyline to be like, that looks uncomfy. Like they're supposed to be sitting like that for minutes at a time. But honestly, that looks really uncomfortable.
I mean, I understand exactly what you're saying. But I feel like it was done like that more on purpose.
Okay.
Also, I don't know the studio. I did not do any research to what else they have done, if they have done anything else. So I can't like 100% speak to it. But this is like the first time either one of them have been in any sort of situation like this. Therefore, it's just kind of, like very uncomfortable to begin with. Because I have been that person that has been at, like first crush's house and everything is just very, very uncomfortable. But also, like, I get it. Also, I think like leaning back on the couch would cause some unnecessary shading and be harder to draw.
Yeah.
Because as somebody that hates having to do unnecessary curves and angles in their own artwork, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I raise you the fact that they have been basically living together for like months. And so like they could be like awkward in the beginning, but then there's like comments of like, oh, she looks really natural and comfortable in your house. Like, and it's also points where it's like they're not necessarily like doing something that's like new for them and they still look uncomfortable. So I think it's probably a thing of like we're trying to be fairly quick in making these episodes and it would take a lot more time to shade them and draw them in that way. I think that's probably where it comes down to. But I will just comment on the fact that it did bring me out of watching the episodes to be like, your leg would be so dead. Like, that's uncomfortable. You wouldn't want to be there. Like, no. Ouch. Maybe I'm just old as well and my body hurts all the time, so that helps. I
mean, yeah, I'd 100% get that. Like if I had to sit in those positions, I would it would not be fun.
Yeah.
I'm going through what they've done, so they're not a large studio by any means. Like they haven't done really anything that I am very familiar with other than Love After World Domination. Which Power Ranger love story? Who doesn't enjoy a good Power Ranger love story? But outside of that, like it seems like they only do 1 to maybe 2 anime a year.
Okay, yeah.
So with them being a smaller studio, I can 100% understand as to why they would be having little bits of hiccups
Yeah, and
here or
that's
there
fair.
and like not wanting to overly animate things.
Yeah, that's fair. I will also just comment, this is not a this anime thing, this is an all anime thing. Why are legs shiny?
Tights.
No, but like when she was showing off of her legs without wearing the tights on, her legs were shiny. And this is like, girls' legs in anime are shiny. And I don't get this. Like, do they lather up in oil before they walk outside? Like, I don't understand. Like,
Sunscreen.
sunscreen doesn't make you that
I don't know,
shiny.
like- I don't know. Like I literally don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
So I cannot even comment. And as somebody who typically is like the animation payer attention tour of the two of us, I literally don't notice that whatsoever.
I think it's because I notice, like I pay attention to like the fashion and stuff, and so when I see things like that, I'm like, no, no.
And I'm just the one that has to point out the stupid animation differences.
Yeah. I just don't get that. I don't get why in anime legs are shiny. I mean, I get it in the sense of like they need to create depth around a leg, and it's just a block of color. So adding a little highlight to it gives it depth, and that's fast. I get that.
But they could like just go like a couple shades lighter. Don't go from skin tone to white.
Yeah, that's the point. Good point. Because yeah, they do end up looking shiny.
As someone who really enjoys shading and hates drawing, just move the cursor if you're on a tablet on the color wheel a little bit diagonally. Not all the way.
No, not to the corner.
Because if you've ever worked with a color palette such as Procreate, in the northwest corner is white. In the southeast corner is black. So don't move it all the way to the corner, just little bit.
A little bit. A little tiny bit. Or just go to your little
like
numbers.
You move it just a little bit.
Where it says the color code and just like decrease them a little.
That is way too extra.
Is it?
As someone who is inherently incredibly lazy and doesn't want to do math, I'll just move the color wheel a little bit.
Okay.
I 100% see what you're saying, and I think it's a good idea.
But no.
I will just not be doing
Fair
it.
enough. Okay. Yeah, so that was my animation point.
OP and ED were bland.
Yeah. They were fine.
Like that's the thing. Like they were just fine. Like these will not be in any contention for our like best OP or ED of the year by any means, but they were fine.
They were fine. His mother is uncomfortable. She made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I get it, but she made me uncomfortable.
I mean, she was definitely the typical rom-com mother for sure.
Yeah.
But no, I 100% agree. Like it was very overbearing.
Yeah.
And I preferred Chitose.
Me too. Yeah. And I feel like they both do overbearing in the same amount of level, but Chitose's feels more like jovial, more prankstery, whereas Shihoko sounds like she says it's a prank. She says she's just teasing, but like there's an element of like she's actually not though. And yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and it gives me the impression that Amane, when he's older, is going to have to sit down and have a conversation with her and be like, Mom, stop it. Like, this is too much.
No barging into people's house. No, bad, shame.
Yeah, like, I'm he's at this point, a teenager living alone. Like, you should have boundaries with your parents. Parents, you should have boundaries with your kids, especially when you reach the age of puberty and onwards.
Oh, 100%.
Like, knock, please. Like that. Like that's so uncomfortable. To do that, and it freaked me out and made me feel like, ugh, I don't like. So that's like my perception of her character right now is not like, oh, fun mom who's like just being a bit like overprotective. It's like, no, boundaries need to be made.
No, like as someone whose mother is very similar in a way and does not understand boundaries in any way, shape, form, or fashion, I get that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And then
But good dad, though.
Good dad that does enable, but good dad.
Yeah, good dad.
But Chisase, she's way more like playful with it. Like she pranks, but it doesn't feel like she pranks across the line. Like she knows where the line is. And she's comfortable with teasing and playing, but she doesn't like invade his space in any way, like metaphorically or literally.
And the whole friend group in general just felt very natural. Like they didn't feel put together or rushed or anything like that. Like everything felt natural. Like this felt like a real high school group. And again, kind of like similar to what we talked about last week, this is a friend group that I could get on with.
Yeah. Yeah. Chisase I would need a break from. But I get why I remember when I was watching this thinking like, oh my god, Chisase is a lot. But I get why Itsuki, like he's the perfect match for her. Like his energy and her, like they do click. So although she's too much for me, I absolutely see their relationship being legit, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
And I kind of really enjoy the side plot of them being like, nah, we want to get married. We're teenagers, but we're like going for it because I knew people like that when they were like 16 being like, yeah, we're going to get married when students were out of high school. And their parents were like, what the fuck? No. And that's the plot line for those two in this. And I get it. And I think it's like kind of a fun side plot. It's not fun for them. They're stressed. But like, it's like kind of like kids just believe with 100% of their being on those kinds of things at that time period. So like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, this is love and you will not stop me, okay? Bye.
Yeah. And like, I'm going to leave because I had an argument with my dad for 3 days at a friend's house and then I'm going back home again. And like, I get it. Like, that's fun and youthful and like, yeah, dramatic. Kids are dramatic. That's accurate.
Yeah. So I get it. I 100% get it.
And then I liked Yuta. We didn't get a lot of him until more of the end of the anime, but I liked how he was kind of like, in the same way as Mahiru was being like overwhelmed by the popularity, he also started to portray that a little bit. His was definitely more shallow because he's a much smaller character. But the idea of like Amane reaching out just for a small act of kindness of just lending him a shopping bag to take home the Valentine's Day candy, being the thing for Yuta to be like, okay, this person doesn't have anything against me. Like, because all of the guys in the school hate him because he's popular, and all of the girls in the school only want to get in his pants, really. He's being very objectified.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's probably just as lonely as Mahiru was. But the two of them can't be friends because then it would become like a theme, like a drama, like a show. Like, it's not... Like, although they could have a very real friendship, their public perception would be fucked.
Oh, 100%.
So he's very isolated and alone. And when Amane reaches out for just this one small act of kindness and says to him, oh, like, it's no big deal, this is a help. Like, that's a clue for him to be like, this person doesn't hate me and he doesn't hold it against me that, like, I'm popular.
Yeah.
Which is such a strange thing to have as a high school thing. Like, in reality, I don't think this ever happens. But I can see how it happens to, like, celebrities, you know? Like, is this person friends with me because I'm rich and famous? Or do they actually give a shit about me?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, so... I don't know. I liked to see his character being included as well. And I liked that they did expose male objectification, which absolutely does happen and isn't spoken about very much. And it's a conversation that's recently just been happening around like Justin Bieber and how the fact that when he was like a minor or a freshly turned adult, there were people like full grown women like groping him on stage and stuff. And it's like really, really gross, but it wasn't a conversation at the time because he's a bloke, right?
Yep.
So it's only now that people are reflecting back on it and being like, that was actually really fucked. Like, and he's turned out way better than most people would have, considering.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. So, yeah. So, it's like a good conversation to just subtly have within the show.
Yeah. I think we'll definitely get more of him and like get more growth and everything as we go along as well.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought about picking up the light novels for this and just giving it a read.
Mm-hmm.
So might end up doing that at some point. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Just because I'm curious, like what else goes on.
Yeah, I would like to know more as well. If the second season comes out, I'll definitely watch it. And I mean, Utah's kind of a little bit of a fifth wheel right now, so it would be nice to see him get some partnering himself.
Yeah. So what you rate it?
Like a 7.
No, I could see that.
Yeah, like it's solid. It's fun to watch. I had a good time. Yeah, that's it. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at too. Like I'm 7.5 because I feel like I can't give it an 8.
Yeah.
But 7.5, like it's fine.
So
it's good.
A little bit,
I
we're
enjoyed
a little
it.
bit under the average. Yeah, I think that's where we're at with quite a lot of the shows this season. Is that they're just like they're good.
Yeah, like nothing is just like truly sticking out. Now,
No.
I will say this season, I've got a lot to look forward to with things like Mashal and Hell's Paradise. Those are going to be very, very good.
Yeah.
I mean, even campfire cooking, like for what it is, like it's good. But for the genre and everything that fits in, I think it's great. Like,
I'm excited to watch
I genuinely looked forward to it every week. Like it was one of those where I was like, I can't wait for Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Not to sit here and like try to immediately segue into like what we're covering next week, but it like out of a lot of the stuff that I was watching week to week this season, that was one that I was very, very excited for. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that one too. Actually, quite a lot. I'm like, because I've read the manga, I'm like, yes. I want to know. I'm curious for you guys at home, who, like, what anime this past season was like the one that you were the most excited to watch, or like which one is the one that you consider like the standout anime of the season? Because so far from the ones that we've watched, most of them have just been like, yeah, like it's good, like you'd enjoy yourself if you watched it, but like it's not like something to brag about to all your friends of like, you have to see this, you know?
Yeah 100%.
Okay. Yeah, should we fuck off?
Yeah. So thank you all so much for listening, Blue, and I greatly appreciate it. You can find Blue at Blue Lavender STM on Instagram and Twitter.
I'm not anymore. I changed it.
Oh, it's Blue's Lavenders, right?
It is.
I noticed for some reason I was like, what is this? What is this name that is popped up on my Instagram?
It's because I don't stream anymore, so I took out the STM.
I forgot that was for stream.
It was, yeah. Well, it's for
STEM.
Because I used to STEM, but I don't anymore.
Yeah, so it is now Blue's Lavenders. That completely slipped my mind, so thank you for the catch up on that.
Yeah, because you changed yours, so I was like, I want to change mine too.
As you should. Time to rebrand.
Switch it.
Yeah. So I'm Brad Guerin VO on Instagram. I have no Twitter, but I do run our Twitter at BnB Anime. Literally BnB Anime on quite literally everything. And Twitch is Brad Carter Gaming, but I'm not streaming now. Might pick it back up again in a couple weeks. Life is just way too fucking hectic right now, and I have no clue what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, because he's too busy watching WrestleMania.
This weekend is incredibly busy, which is why we are recording very, very early.
Yes.
And now I gotta fuck off and go to work at church.
Yeah. Enjoy your church.
I shall. You enjoy your brunch. Take photos because I want to see what Canadian brunch looks like.
I will, if I remember.
And everybody listening, thank you for listening. We appreciate it. We hope you have a good week, and we'll catch y'all next time. Love you. Bye-bye.